Okay, so today we got maximum, minimum, and intercepts. So the difference with these from the last handful of notes is these are specific locations on the graph. So we're using, just parentheses, we're using the x and y value. So a maximum is the highest part of the graph, and I'm not saying point specifically. Highest part. I'm not saying point specifically because there could be a point, there could be an arrow, or there could be a constant. Now, an arrow, the answer is going to be none because you can't locate infinity. Okay, so the answer is none. For a constant, it's the y value because we have a flat part of the graph, right? If you have a constant, there's like a bajillion points going on right here, so you can't pick a specific one. You just have to use whatever that y value is on the y-axis. Okay, a minimum is the lowest part of the graph. So we can have a point, right? If it's a particular point. If it's an arrow, it's the same reason as before. You can't locate infinity. And then a constant is the y value. It's because it's flat. There's a bunch of points happening there, so you can't pick just one, but you can pick the y value because that will stay as is. X-intercepts is when it crosses the x-axis, and you write it as whatever your number is, comma 0, because the y value is 0. Versus a y-intercept, it crosses the y-axis, so the x value will always be 0, and then whatever that y value is. But the answer can also be none if it doesn't cross. So I'm going to use a tool that I gave my students to help them out. So we have our little bookmark pack. So to find the maximum, right, you start at the top. And right here, this is the top of the graph. And you have to determine if you have a point, a constant, or an arrow. And in this case, we have a point. So this is our point right here. And I'm going to give that a little circle. So we have a point, which means we write an x, y value. So the x value is -4, and the y value is 3 for this point. Minimum, same thing, except you go from the bottom. And here is my minimum right here. And it's going to be a point as well. It's going to be a point as well because there is no constant here. There's no flat piece, and there's no arrow. So you do get to say that it's a point. So because of that, we have an x value and a y value for us to write out. It's 1, -2. X-intercepts, all right. In my next little bookmark thing, x-intercepts, I look at where it crosses, and in this case, it crosses twice. It crosses here at -1 and at 2 on the x-axis. So we got -1, 0, and we have 2, 0 as our x-intercepts. Y-intercepts, we look on the y-axis, and it looks like it crosses just one time at -1. So we write 0, -1 as our y-intercept. All right, number next. In this top problem here, we look for the maximum. And when I bring my little sheet here down, this is the maximum. It's not flat right here. It technically is a turning point. And it's not an arrow, so that means it is just a point. So because of that, that x and y value is 0, -2. From the bottom, we have a minimum, and technically we have 2 minimums. So what we're going to do is, honestly, you can either just use the y value, which in this case it's -4, or you can write out both points. I won't be picky about this because I think either answer would work. X-intercepts. Now when I look at my x-axis here, there are no x-intercepts happening, right? Nothing crosses, so the answer is going to be none. And on the y-axis, it repeats again, right? We got that same piece. So it's okay if a maximum or a minimum repeats again for your x or y intercept. That's okay. Follow the math. Remember, next I'm going to stop using my little fancy thing here. The maximum, right, is right here. This is the highest point, and it is a point. There's no arrow here. So we write the x and y value. The minimum, this is the lowest part. It's also a point. There's no arrow or flat piece here, so that means we use a 0.31. That's the x and y value. There is no x-intercepts happening. It doesn't cross through the x-axis. It doesn't cross through the y-axis, so both of these are none. All right, I'm going to bring my thing back. So the maximum here, right here, I'm going to stop. This is my maximum, okay? Now, it doesn't have just a point, okay, because I see a constant. So this is important. Now, I know there's an arrow here, but that arrow is not pointing up, okay? So that means we use the constant. And if we have a constant, we use the y value. And the y value of this constant was 5, okay? Minimum, when I look at the bottom here, I got a point. So I get to use the x and y value. I can be specific about the location. X-intercept is right here. It's halfway between 1 and 2. So our x-intercept is 1.5, comma 0. Our y-intercept is at 3. So it's going to be 0, comma 3. All right. Next problem. Again, the maximum, if I go from the top, the arrow is not pointing up, it's pointing to the side, so that means we are dealing with a constant. So that means we use the y value in this case, which is 3. Same with the bottom piece. Oops, where'd it go? Right, it's constant. So that means we're going to use the y value, and the y value is -3. The x-intercept here is -2, so we got -2, 0. The y-intercept happens here at 3, so our y-intercept is going to be 0, 3. This next one here, our maximum at the top, it's not a point, it's not constant, it's an arrow. It's an arrow pointing up. So that means we are going to have none, all right? That's because an arrow, you can't locate an arrow, okay? We're talking about a specific location, and the arrows keep going forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Then we got a point for the minimum, so that's nice. And that location is 3, -3. We got an x-intercept. We got 1. It's at -2, so we got -2, 0. We got a y-intercept, and there's just 1. It's at 0, -2. Next up, we got the maximum. So once again, looking at the maximum here, a lot of us will say, oh, it's got a point, it's got a point. No, that is not the case. This maximum has a constant going on here. So that means we're going to use that y value, and that's 2. Okay? Because there's a bunch of bajillion points in between this and this, all right? So you got to just use that y value. That's the only thing staying consistent. Hey, constant, consistent between the two. Or between all those points, not the 2. At the bottom here, we have an arrow, so there is not a minimum because arrows go on forever and ever and ever, and you cannot locate them. The x-intercept here is 0, 0, and the y-intercept is also 0, 0. This is the only time the x-intercept and the y-intercept will be the same. But that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you think I went too fast, you can always rewind and watch it again, or you can pause and think your way through it. Good luck.